Join Jared Latigo, Camille Branson, and Taylor Perky for episode 8 of the Cultivate podcast with special guest Daniel Furney of House of Air Crowley. Don't forget to like and share this post. Now for your host, Jared and Camille.
Hey.
There's the epic intro again. There it is again. All the guests are always like, what just happened?
Yeah, I don't know what just happened.
That's
you, Taylor.
amazing.
It's live action.
It is live action. Welcome to the Cultivate podcast. This is the podcast where we strive to make your business awesomer. And so we've got Daniel Furney on today talking about grassroots promotion, grassroots marketing, however you want to say it. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But first, just a little heads up. We are I feel like we're moving into an area, like in terms of the podcast, where we're really hitting on some really cool topics.
We are.
So I want to put it out there to everyone. If you're listening on this to this as a podcast, audio only, be sure to join us, facebook.com/cultivate hub. You can do that on Monday mornings. That's where we go live. And so you can leave comments. You can ask questions to the guest. You can get involved there. And
you can see our beautiful faces.
You absolutely can. Even Taylor's sometimes when he turns the camera
Not
on.
on camera today.
So
we fight. I have a black eye.
Oh, do you? Really? I didn't notice that.
No, but I'm going to give you one if you don't straighten up today.
Oh.
Whoa!
Ouch.
You're fired.
Sorry, that was so
Sassy
aggressive.
this morning.
Yeah.
Does that bring you joy, Camille?
Oh, that does not. Oh, I broke my own rules.
Oh.
Can you edit that out?
Nope, we're
say
live.
bad
Sorry.
words.
We're live. We're live.
Oh, I'm in trouble now.
So anyways, if you are
man.
watching and you have questions about grassroots promotion, marketing stuff, let's get them in as we're talking about that today. So let's get right into the content today. Everyone good with that? Good with that?
Let's do it.
Let's
Okay.
roll.
Yeah.
So Daniel, appreciate you coming on, first of all.
Thanks
you.
for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the time. Tell us a little bit about where you came from and how you ended up in Crowley at this House of Air thing, and kind of tell us what that is, and then we'll get into the grassroots marketing.
Sure. So just a quick backdrop on me. Me and my wife were about a year and a half, almost 2 years now, Burleson residents. Before that, we lived in Euless. Before we got into the trampoline park industry, I was actually a sales rep for a major corporation that did health insurance.
Okay, wait, hold up. How in the world did you go from to health insurance to trampoline park?
That's literally
So
like the
take
best
two more
thing
steps
ever.
backwards, and I'm a collegiate gymnast for the University of Oklahoma.
Now that makes more sense. Okay,
there's
thank
your
you.
tie.
Thank you. I knew there had to be some
There's
kind
your
of a
tie.
Okay.
So I grew up on trampolines, and
Okay.
my whole life was in a gymnastics gym, basically.
Sweet.
Growing up.
Okay.
And so when my kids got old enough to, participate in some of these, attractions and venues,
You're good.
basically what happened was I would go to a few, and it was pretty scary. I mean, I went to quite a few trampoline parks and didn't think they were ran the right way, didn't think they were designed the right way. And having the background that I had, I was very, curious about this industry. So you start kind of doing your due diligence. You want to find out as much as you can. And it led through some conversations. And, 2 years later, we have a trampoline park in Crowley. So,
That's awesome. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense because, it's great to have an excuse to be a kid when you're an adult. So I think I should have come up with that idea. You should have been in the
You should
trampoline
have.
business. No, I break too many
Sorry.
bones. That's crazy. Okay, sorry. It's all coming full circle for me. Thank you.
Yep.
That's awesome. No, my kid's been there. I think she's gotten.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's a fun place.
It is a fun place.
Well, thanks.
And, it gave me a lot of peace of mind to know that he had the background he did with
Yeah,
gymnastics
absolutely.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I feel safer when my kids go there, because we have been there a couple times. And I feel safer knowing that he has all
It
that
adds a lot of
background.
credibility.
It
Yeah.
does. It really does.
I think I would have let her go more often had I known that, actually, to be honest.
It really does.
Well, thanks.
So, okay. So you got the trampoline park, House of Air over there in Crowley. And then what are you guys doing in terms of, grassroots type stuff? What's that mean to you, and how's that helped your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So really for us, the way I kind of view it is we want to be approachable and usable and customizable for our clients. I think what's unique about House of Air, if you compare us across other industries or other attractions like ourselves, is that we want our customers to have a face, myself and my team, and know that we can communicate to them and meet their needs, whatever that looks like. We want people to not only enjoy the process, but enjoy working with us. We want to be, the cliche, as much as Chick-fil-A as we can be.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
I don't think that's too cliche.
Yeah.
I think that's like a level.
Here's the thing. People always say, I want to have Chick-fil-A service,
Yeah.
but they don't have a plan to get there.
Yeah.
How do you How do you actually present that and give that to a customer? Yeah, you can say as a business owner, I want to have Chick-fil-A service for my customers, for my client.
Right.
I want my team members to be example that's Chick-fil-A. How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
What's
do you
your
have a plan?
process?
Do you have a plan for that?
Absolutely. It starts first and foremost with hiring the right people.
Yeah.
You have to, your talent is the definition of you. And it starts from the top down. And if you, as the leader of your team, can represent a specific style of how you handle yourself and how you deal with your customers, that has to then bleed down to everyone else, and they'll see that.
Yeah.
So, I wear numerous hats, and I'm not above any position in my own business. I'll clean the bathrooms, I'll do whatever. And I'm happy to do that. And my team sees me do that, and it resonates with everybody else.
Yeah.
So
I went in there one day. He was sewing the net. He was like stitching the net.
No, I love that. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's really important. I think my father, who's passed away now, he would never ask anyone to do a job he wasn't willing to do
Correct.
himself.
Correct.
And they see you doing that, and that speaks volumes for you and your integrity and your work ethic. And I think that's super important. They see you doing that.
That's a leadership thing.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
We had her pastor was on talking about servant leadership, that type of stuff, and same type of thing. You're in a position of leadership, but you're not so high and mighty that you're not willing to do the things that you would ask someone else to do or whatever. You're not unwilling to do those things, right? So that's cool. I feel like that's as much leadership books as I've read and that kind of stuff. That's always like the mark of a leader is paying attention to those things. Okay, so whenever I think of grassroots promotion, now I'm a marketing guy and I really love messaging. I love the idea of being able to use marketing to change a culture or to influence an industry or whatever. And I think it's so much more than tactics, So we talked about that a little bit on the podcast, but it's not the Facebook and the email and all that kind of stuff. Those are tactical things,
Sure.
right? But you've got to have that message figured out. You've got to have your audience figured out. You've got to have those things narrowed down pretty tightly so that you can start to establish, again, we've talked about your positioning and that kind of stuff as a brand. So how has your grassroots efforts, like I think of it like swag or a social media post that's going to provide value to somebody and getting your audience to share that, like those are all pieces of grassroots marketing. So how would you define that, and what have you guys done?
So from our own social media promotions and content, and just from our customer service standpoint, what we want to have people know is that we can work with them for what their needs are.
Okay.
We talked about it a little bit earlier. We don't want there to be a box, and either you fit in this box or you don't. We want the box to be customizable to your needs.
Right.
Everyone's a little bit different on what they're truly trying to achieve, and sometimes they do fit the box quite nicely. Other times there's small tweaks that you can do for what someone's wanting to get out of their experience, whether it's a customized birthday party package or they're looking to come in when we're not traditionally open. How can you work with that customer, that group, that family, and provide what they need the right way? And that's kind of what I mean by allowing for you to have a face, and also allowing for your team to be able to lead, to have that face as well. Because I'm not always there. I can't be there all the time.
Yeah.
I tried that in the beginning.
Yeah.
My wife did not like it, so
No,
I'm not going
it's
to do
not
that
good
again.
for your home life.
So my team has the authority to speak for my behalf and to speak on them. And in fact, honestly, I've gotten to a point now I defer to my team when people ask me questions, which is
That's
where I want to be.
Great feeling, though.
But
Yeah.
it goes back to hiring the right people and enabling them to have that authority, and then empowering them to have that success and rewarding them for that success.
Yeah,
Most
I agree.
importantly, when people see that they're doing a great job and they're being heard and that they're actually making this customer happy. One of my favorite posts is I got a handwritten letter. You know how powerful a handwritten letter is in today's day. Handwritten letter mailed to our house, or mailed to House of Air. The party host had such a good job with that mom. That daughter had the mom was bawling that day because she had so much fun. She wrote a handwritten letter to her. So I took a picture of the party host holding that handwritten letter. It was one of my most popular posts because this resonates with authority. It's authentic.
It's kind of
And
lost
people
art, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Oh,
those are the things that we want to be excited about. My second favorite post, and you'll appreciate this, it was on National Toilet Paper Day. Okay, there's such a thing, and so I took a
It doesn't surprise me.
I took a picture of the toilet paper dispenser in one of the stalls. One's turned down one way where the where the roll's going this way, and the other one's turned down the other way where the roll's holding that way. And I labeled them A, B.
Yeah.
And I said, what's the proper method for installing your toilet paper? And people loved it. They blew up laughing.
What is the proper method?
I always say it has to be going top down. If you come to the other side, you get rip off. You have
Depends if you have a cat in your house.
It's poor toilet paper placement.
Yeah. Well, it's sometimes. Yeah, I won't even go there. That could take. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So two random examples there, but the toilet paper one I thought was humorous because I literally was waiting on that one for about 4 months when I got the idea. I was like, "Can I do this earlier?" Like, nah, I better wait for the day.
Wait for National Toilet Paper Day. Otherwise, everybody's like, well, why are you posting this? This is not National Toilet Paper Day. Because I keep up with all the national holidays.
Oh yeah, I know you do, and all the dad jokes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never get you a dad joke
my
calendar
calendar's
again.
all the way over there.
Oh, that's so sad. No, Tyler, don't do it. Don't do
Taylor's
it.
gonna get it for me. I don't even know what the one for the day is.
It might not be appropriate.
Camille got me this
Do you do
calendar.
dad jokes? Do you have kids,
Of
right?
course, I have 4 kids. So
4 kids?
I am all about the dad jokes.
Okay, so your kids, are they involved in your business?
They are.
Okay.
Well, they're young still, so
That's okay.
their involvement
I was
is
sacking groceries when I was 2, so I
absolutely.
get it.
Oh, I use pictures of my kids. We did the Boo Bash here in Burleson, and my kids love it because they get to hand out these little wristbands that we give to everybody. We give
Okay.
out free second-hour passes and candy,
Yeah.
and so they love it.
That's awesome. There's a lot of good lessons for your kids to have when you're self-employed in a business, especially a fun one like that. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to work with their parents?
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, my kids were in here yesterday, and Zoe and Jonah were in these chairs doing a fake podcast.
Oh, sweet.
Because they wanted to do a podcast.
That's funny.
And and I said, well, I don't have the computer up here or anything because I had it at home yesterday. And he goes, I don't care. We just want to do a fake pretend one. I was like, okay. So I videoed him in here, and I was like, standing at the door, video him, and he's like, quit videoing us. I was like, but that's a we video our podcast. And he's like, oh, okay. And I said, plus y'all are the first ones to ever do a podcast in the studio on Sunday. So
That'd be true.
Yeah, so absolutely. So it was fun.
Hilarious anyway, yeah.
So anyways, Camille got me a dad joke calendar, and she's regretting it. So I pulled them off. So here's one for today. Ready for this?
Super, can't wait.
Parallel lines have so much in common. It's a shame they'll never meet.
Where's Matt Davis? He's the other bad dad.
Matt
joke
Davis knows, like, off the top of his head, dad jokes for real. Yeah.
You should give that one over there to Daniel so he can take it with him and entertain his
I have a few others, but
children.
Maybe by the time I get used to how old I am, I'm 10 years older than that. Some of these are
That one's not funny.
That's not funny at
Some
all.
of them are not funny. Yeah.
I don't know any funny jokes. I can't remember the punchlines. You got any good jokes, Daniel?
No.
Oh, yeah, we did. Sorry, we just went and left.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This podcast.
Yeah,
goes all
sometimes
over
it
the place.
happens.
Go down a tangent.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay, so grassroots promotion.
no jokes?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you probably heard them, but
You put him on the spot.
Oh,
I'll tell you the most dad joke one that I know. Why did the pirate go see the movie? Because it was rated R.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an arc joke y'all missed. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, Matt Davis has lots of pirate jokes. Actually, we had on National Pirate Day.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we were exchanging pirate jokes on National Pirate Day joke day, whatever.
And
it was.
I just sat by and
Anyways,
watched.
Yeah. Well, that was actually at church. The one we had here was totally.
Out of control.
It was less than what we had going on at church.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was interesting. Anyways,
so
what I'm hearing from you in terms of the grassroots stuff is you're not so much you're focused on the customers, but you also see that as your employees and your team that you've got, where you've tried to empower them to say, hey, if somebody has a problem, like, let's solve it. Like, that's who we are as a company, right?
We want to have a voice that can communicate to the customers.
Right.
We don't want to be a brand. We want to be something that's tangible.
Right. And I totally get that. I understand that a lot. And you mentioned the Chick-fil-A stuff, and I think that they I feel like you're in that same lane, where
100%.
Yeah.
And like Disney.
We're in the service industry.
Like
We're in the service industry.
The Lee Cockrell thing. I was listening to that. It reminds me a little bit about what you're talking about. Really putting in line a lot of those practices that are just when they think of you, they think of that whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool. Shout out to another podcast. I haven't listened to much of it yet, but it is the one with Lee Cockrell. It's called
I listened to it already.
Creating Disney Magic.
Yeah,
or
that's
so
why I
it is?
said that's what he's saying reminds me of that podcast.
Very,
It's
it's very cool. It's very interesting to hear from someone
podcast.
that's been over that many people in a organization that big.
That's another level.
It is. It's a whole other. I mean, and the co-host is a guy named Jody. I forget his last name, but he was over. He also worked at Disney, and he was over like 40,000 people. Wow. Was his because he's over operations.
So that's a lot the same as your park over there.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
It's perception, right? I mean, it's just the beginning. It's
about the same
Will
as
there
ours.
be more?
I don't think we'll be seeing any more House of Airs as of right now. I think there's a lot of options for discretionary dollars in this area. There's a lot of options that, like I was saying earlier, that we really, compete but not really compete with. But I do think there's some of the stuff that we're looking at doing in the near future for sure.
So adding to what you're already doing.
Correct.
Adding to the greatness.
Absolutely.
Okay, sweet.
Always trying to expand.
Okay, cool.
All right. So if someone is, say someone's in your position, they've kind of got something off the ground, it's working okay. They're trying to figure out, how do I hate to use this term, but how do I get the word out about what we're doing? That kind of stuff, right? Because that's every small business owner's. That's the first thing. Well, how do I tell people? How to tell everybody what we're doing? That kind of stuff. What's been your experience? We talked a little bit last month when we sat down about some of the different types of marketing you guys are doing and stuff that's worked for you guys to bring people in and essentially tell people like your story and that kind of stuff. Like, so where does somebody start with that kind of stuff?
I would say you'd have to take a step back from there to say, before you get the word out, you got to know who you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
If you know your audience that you're trying to reach, then you can define the best way to reach that audience.
Perfect.
I don't think it's wise just to throw money at whatever just to try to see what sticks on the wall. I mean, there's a place for that as well, but at the same time, the better you as an owner for any industry can know who your consumer is and where they're at. Are they retail? Are they online? Are you competing against Amazon? I mean, you have to know your space to the point where you're basically trying to eliminate variables.
Right.
What would prevent somebody from purchasing my product or buying my services? Is it because something else is already being offered? Is there a free offering over here? Is there a better one from a price standpoint? That defines your best way then to get that word out, to actually create the awareness for that group.
Right.
Do you find that social media is a more effective tool for you since the age of users are getting younger?
Honestly, I think social media is a great tool, but for
is
me,
it the parents?
well, for me, my consumer is the parent, specifically the moms, ages 18 to 65.
Okay.
That wide of range, because you get the grandparents with the kiddos and you
Right.
get the moms with the
Yeah.
kiddos.
Okay.
And honestly, for my industry, Facebook is a much better resource than even Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram's great, and that has a place for us, but we see much more, I would say, following and effectiveness of marketing from Facebook than we do even Instagram.
Interesting. I'm glad to hear that because that's one I know how to use.
Case in point.
But I'm a mom.
Yep.
A mom.
You're a mom?
I'm a mom.
She's a mom, mate.
I'm a mom, mate.
Why?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I'm a big believer in choosing the right platform. That kind of thing. A lot of people say be everywhere, and you can, but you're also gonna drive yourself nuts.
You spread yourself too thin.
You are. You absolutely are. And different platforms require different content and all that kind of stuff. So it's just not. And I'll be honest, like the type of audience that we're reaching here. We're taking these videos now. We're multi-purpose them, so they go up on YouTube. We don't get a lot of traction there, but I want to have that backlog.
Sure.
And then we're also I'm moving towards start posting on LinkedIn, that kind of stuff, because LinkedIn is a much more business audience.
Absolutely.
And that's who we're talking to. Not to say Facebook doesn't have one, because there are the small business owners are there. We've got the Burleson Business Hub group that I run, and those are all places that we're trying to tie business owners into things, because we don't have a very strong business community online here in this area. I mean, we've got events going on in town,
Sure.
but there's not a lot of online stuff for it. And so I'm trying to, that's what one thing that Cultivate's trying to do, is trying to be in that space of essentially the online, business community and marketing a
forum
development.
just for people to come together.
Right, because I mean it's like you, like we really want to serve that audience. Like we know that our audience is business owners. We know our audience is either startups or they've been in business for 5 years or they've been in business for even 10 years, and now they're looking to try to figure out the ins
Next
and outs
step.
of social media and that kind of stuff, right?
Correct.
So I mean, to your point, very true that you've got to understand your consumer. You got to understand that person, and y'all, Taylor and Camille have heard me say this a million times. Like, who's your audience? Who are you targeting? Like,
Yes, we have.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Taylor.
pretty much till I'm blue in the face. No one listens to me though.
Say it, Taylor.
That's correct. Nobody listens to you.
That's right.
Oh, that's not what that's not
Say
true.
what?
I knew
Say
it.
what?
That's not true. Nothing.
No, it's true.
I
Everybody
thought you had
listens to
some little remark over there.
I
No,
thought he did
well,
too.
y'all just kept asking me to say something.
Oh.
Well, you had that look on your face. Like you,
I always have that look.
That's
you
awesome.
don't.
All right, so we are roughly about halfway through, if I'm assuming correctly. So today's episode is brought to you by The Hub. The Hub is a awesome shared workspace here in Burleson. You can come in and get connected to pretty much anything at The Hub because you are the hub of
That's right.
Burleson.
The connector of
Absolutely.
persons.
The connector of persons and things. Yeah, absolutely. So whatever you are looking for in the business community, be sure to swing by The Hub, 222 East Renfro. Camille would be happy to connect you with somebody, 'cause that's what she does.
Jared or Taylor.
Well, yes.
Or
But
Daniel. Daniel's here this morning. He needs a president, actually.
Come on by.
So, yeah.
Standing
Thank you,
president
Daniel.
for the next hour.
That's
president of The Hub, too? Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. There was an
President
open
of the
spot.
chamber.
We
Yep.
just plugged him in. See? You
There
see how
you
you get
go.
plugged in? You just walk in.
That's it.
Yeah. It's presidential.
Absolutely. All right. So, okay. So, grassroots promotion. What is something that you could tell a business owner that 1, 2, 3 steps where they can get going, where they could, kind of take their efforts? Maybe they are in this mindset of, I'm willing to serve, I'm willing to build the right team, I'm willing to, I want to be like the Chick-fil-A or whatever.
Sure.
Where do they start? What's 3 steps, or however you want to phrase it, that they could take and say, okay, now I have a plan.
So to get to that plan first, you have to obviously write it out. You have to be able to see it on paper. It has to make sense to you. It has to make sense to somebody else as well. But ultimately, from what you're talking about right there, I think the most important thing is to, one, live it, like we've talked about already. Be the face of that plan.
Right.
Start from the top down. Hire the right people, and then you always have to be checking your system too, because no matter how perfect a plan is on paper, you're going to have hiccups. There's going to be whatever. You're going to have issues, and your culture is going to be defined based on how you handle those scenarios, because everything's perfect in a vacuum. When it hits the fan, that's when how you as a person can define you as your business too. Because most of example for House of Air, we've made mistakes. I mean, I think every business has.
Oh yeah.
We've had issues that if we could go back and have a do-over, we'd do it a completely different way. But when you get to that point when you can't do it over, what's your approach? And these are theoreticals that you could be conceptualizing as a business owner now. How do I make this right with this customer so that, one, they're not going to go scorched earth on me on Google reviews, because those are a huge thing, especially for our business. And then two, how do I make it right with that person? There is a point where there's nothing more you can do, but I'm going to argue a lot of times people want to be heard and understood that they got to roll into the deal, and doing as little as listening to them can have a huge benefit. Even if there's nothing that you can do as a business owner to correct it, because the cards just happened to play out that way. It maybe wasn't anyone's real fault. This person just had a bad experience. Sometimes, again, you have to be able to eat crow, and sometimes just let it happen, and be a punching bag at times if you need to be.
Yeah.
And it's hard to define that on paper of how what's your 3-step process for dealing with that customer. Well, it's going to be based on the situation, what that looked like, and what can I do? Because sometimes, it's not about, X, Y, Z. That's not going to fix it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like when I go through traffic, nothing's going to give me back my time I spent in traffic, even though I'm really ticked about it.
Yeah.
So what can you do for this customer to help them moving forward so that they can maybe, mend that relationship and come back and give you another shot?
Yeah.
I think that's so true. I mean, if they're heard, just like you said, usually that's all it takes.
Sure. Absolutely.
If they feel validated in just being heard.
They know that their point has been across, they've been recognized, and someone gets where they're at.
And you give your employees or the people that you work with
100%.
that same.
They have to.
Okay.
They have to have that.
That's really important.
They have to have that, and they also have to know that if it needs to be escalated up the train, that it will happen, and it'll happen timely, too. It's not one of those scenarios where we'll reach out to management about it, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll pass that along.
I hate that.
No, that is terrible.
Because I'm a customer, too. I've been places where, man, this was a really bad experience. No follow-up.
Yeah.
And you're like, nah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was just agreeing. Not that it's important that I agree.
No, it is important now.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm a customer too. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll plan my next birthday party there.
There you go.
There you go.
Sorry, I went left again.
That's our business. That's what we do.
My friends are all too broken to go. We're too much of a liability risk at this point.
You'd be surprised. We had a 40th, a dad's 40th party. The wife surprised him and did a 40th dodgeball party with all of his friends.
Sweet.
We had
Oh,
we had
now
one of
you're
my
talking.
staff put on an actual jersey, like a basketball ref jersey. We had a bracket. We made brackets for the teams, and it was like a 2-hour just 40-year-old men playing dodgeball. It was
That is awesome.
hilarious. It was
I would
fun.
totally do that.
Yeah, we loved watching it, and the parents had a blast. The kids were like kind of wanting to get in on this game. We're like, no, this is
Yeah.
a private event.
No,
This is
you're
just
gonna
for
get
them.
smashed.
Say,
That is
say
awesome.
you can throw, but these dads used to play baseball. They can really throw the ball.
Right.
Oh, wow. I did not even think of that.
So
That's
again,
amazing.
back to customization.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist as a standalone package that we offer.
Okay.
This mom called up and said, "Hey, I'm looking to do something," and we said, "Well, what about this?" And she said, "That sounds amazing. Can we do this, this, and this? And well, what about all? I'm gonna have 20 more people come in, so we can handle that. Let's move it to this time. Let's do that."
Yeah.
Again, meeting your customers where they are, listening to them, and finding out what their needs are, and then presenting them with an option that's getting their goals met. So
That's awesome. Wow. I'll have your birthday party there.
All right. Let's do
Okay.
it.
He goes, all right.
I'm game. Yeah, I'm probably not going to get much of one this year. We're in the middle of so many things. So
Well, that's true.
Busy,
No
busy.
party for you.
Yep. All right. All right. Well, that's been. It sounds like customer focused is where you guys are at,
very much so.
and I really love to hear that. I think there's too many businesses that. I think small business is pretty good at that for the most part. Some of them better than others, obviously.
Sure.
But especially as you start to grow and you start to, you mentioned scale and that kind of stuff. A lot of companies lose that, and I think that focus on the customer is vitally important, because if you do those things, if you do focus on the customer and you do pay attention and cater to them and customize for them, you end up with essentially that team of people that's not your employees, but they're the customers that are doing this marketing for you, this promotion, and saying, when I went there, it was the best experience I've ever had. Because
the best marketing anyone can have is that coveted word of mouth.
Yeah.
Once the word of mouth is out, and that's good or bad.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have a word of mouth. If you stick around and make it long enough, people will have an opinion of you.
Yes, they will.
So,
I
will.
agree with that.
and you may not win every one of those things.
Right.
And like we said earlier, you're not going to. But the more times you can to make that experience good, and more importantly, the ones that are bad, do whatever you can to try to keep that door open.
Yep.
That's going to just give you that success, that coveted word of mouth.
Yep. All right, cool. Okay, so if somebody wants to check you guys out, they want to come have a party, whatever, how do they get in touch with you? How do they find where you're at, all that?
Perfect. So, yeah, we are located just up the street here in Crowley. We're at 320 East Main Street. Our website is houseofair.com/Crowley. All of our pricing, our party packages can be all bought online, or you can simply call the park at 682-707-5346. And we can book a party whenever you like. And that phone rings to my cell phone when hours are off. Wow.
That's
Literally.
dedication.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many moms. I'll be at a soccer game, and you'll hear she's like, "Are you at a soccer?" I'm sorry, the phone. They were busy at the park, and I don't like going to voicemail, so
Yeah.
my phone rings my cell phone if my staff can't get to it. So
There you go.
Nice.
He's
Okay.
living it.
Yeah, definitely.
He's living it. So very cool. Well, we really appreciate you coming on this morning. I think that the information's great. I think, that focus on customers and all that is exactly where people need to be. So I really appreciate it.
thanks for having me.
Thanks
This
for
is
sharing
fun.
your leadership and all that stuff. If you are listening, if you're on Facebook, we would like a review from you. That'd be great. If you want to share it, that'd be awesome as well. And if you're listening on any of the podcast networks, be sure to leave us a review on there. That helps with the algorithm. It helps with us, ranking and all that kind of stuff. So we would appreciate that. Positive reviews are great, but honestly, if you want to give us your honest truth, email us. Well, I'm just saying, I want to fix it.
Case in point.
Yeah, I really do want to make sure that we're, leveling this show up as much as we can. So you can get in touch with us there, cultivate.group. Feel free to send us an email about whatever you want to listen to. When if we've got a guest or anything, tag them in the comments, whatever. Let's, we want to bring you guys the content that's going to help you become more awesome.
Yeah. Does anybody have questions for Daniel or?
I haven't gotten any. So
okay.
I think we're.
I'm not sure I did mine right today.
That's okay.
How long have you guys been there in Crowley?
We're coming up on 2 years now.
Okay. 2 years. I think that your background is so completely interesting now. I'm like
makes more sense why I would go into this industry.
It makes more sense, and I think it's really fun to be able to bring back something in that was important to your childhood and growing up, and doing that as your job. I mean, there's nothing more fun than going to work and having fun. Not that it's all fun and games. I get that, but
it's the cliche of I don't really work a day. I feel like because I get to see kids laughing and smiling. That's my job, is to watch kids screaming and having a good time. How fun is that? That's great.
Well, and sports are so huge in this area. Do you find that competition gymnastics and cheer and stuff like that feed into your business and kind of?
They do. You see girls and guys up there tumbling on the trampoline beds. We have two long tumble tracks on side of our main court of trampolines. Kids will be flipping into the airbag like crazy. Okay. So yeah, we definitely see that crossover for sure.
So and that probably increases your community. I mean, in different ways. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just so random this morning.
All right, well, I think we're going to wrap up. Taylor, would you take us out here?
Leave a review and I might read it next time on the Cultivate Podcast. See you later.